Pac-12 Championship Friday night rematch. Oregon versus Washington. Regular season matchup in Seattle was an instant classic 36-33 win by the Huskies in a game where Oregon had a chance to tie. At the end, they miss a 42-yard field goal. Washington walks away a winner. It was a seesaw battle. It was you score, I score, you score, I score until late third, early fourth, when Oregon put back to back touchdowns together and took the lead. Washington comes back late on a two-play 53-yard drive with a minute and a half left. They take the lead. And of course, as I mentioned, Oregon misses a field goal to end that contest and give Washington the home victory. Um, on top of missing that 42-yard field goal that could have potentially tied the game, Oregon had three turnovers on downs, not fumbles or interceptions, but turnovers on downs in that particular contest. And two of those were at the Washington 3-yard line and at the Washington 8-yard line. If head coach Dan Lanning settles for a field goal in either one of those spots or both, he either has a tie game or he has a win. If Oregon scores a touchdown in either one of those spots, they win the game without needing to kick a field goal at the end. So certainly Oregon had their chances. And I can say that just looking back to when I watched that game, I thought to myself, if this game were played in Eugene, Oregon would have won this game. They were the better team to me. They were the more balanced team, the better defensive team. Let's take a look real quick here at, I always like to say that coaches want to fix what went wrong the first time around. And to me, if you're Kalen DeBoer at Washington, if you're Dan Lanning at Oregon, you're going over film, I would look at it this way. Dan Lanning's defense, they have to do a better job containing Washington's top three wide receivers. In that game, they accounted for 83% of the targets. They accounted for virtually all of the yardage. And they were a tough cover all the way through that game. Adunze and Polk, definitely NFL wide receivers. But for Oregon, it's really all you're looking at. You say to yourself, well, let's try and create a little bit more pressure on Penix, and let's see if we can tighten up some of these coverages. We know the routes they run. Now, if you're Washington and you're studying that film and you're looking at the defensive problems here, there's too many, in my estimation, for them to stop. Why Oregon ran for over 200 yards in that game. Bo Nix went 33 of 44, completed 75% of his passes. Bo Nix can run the football. There's an awful lot there that Washington couldn't defend the first time around at home, and now they have to try and defend on a neutral. I don't know that they can stop it all, tell you the truth here. So I think that Oregon has a slight edge there. It's interesting to note that where these two quarterbacks are concerned, they're protected like Fort Knox all season long. Oregon's allowed 5 sacks on the season. Washington's allowed 9 sacks on the season. Bo Nix has tried 401 pass attempts. He's only thrown 2 interceptions. He throws an interception every 200.5 attempts. Don't expect Washington, which is not a defense that's great at sacking the quarterback. Up until last week in the Apple Cup when they got 5, Washington only had 14 sacks the entire season. They don't sack the quarterback. They don't force turnovers. Oregon does sack the quarterback, 32 of those, even though it didn't happen in the first game. I think Dan Lanning, a defensive guy, might actually create some ways here to get more pressure on Penix. He's been a little erratic as of late, more erratic than he was early in the season. And of course, a lot's been made of the fact that Washington, for about 9 weeks now, has scraped by with closer victories than the odds makers have projected, or at least the closing line has projected. So Washington's undefeated team, kind of on a little bit of thin ice. Oregon, I just think back to the Utah game when they had revenge and they came into the Pac-12 championship and absolutely stomped Utah. That could happen again, but I would not like to lay 10 in this game just for fear of Michael Penix Jr. and company being down maybe 15 or 16 and sticking a late touchdown. Certainly their offense is capable of it. In the end, I think you have Oregon, which is too well-rounded, too well-balanced, against a team that's top heavy in one way. It's worked for them all season long. Their defense has done just enough all season long, but the other side's better in both. So potentially look at Oregon. I'm going to give you my best bet on this game in the segment upcoming, but I do think Oregon's probably the better team here.
Oregon and Washington. This game's being played in Las Vegas, and if all things work out well, maybe I'll go to this game on Friday. Oregon's lost the last 2 times it's taken on Washington, so this game is extra special for the Ducks. Keep in mind that 36-33 loss at Washington was the only defeat of the season for Oregon. We love the dominance of this Ducks show on the ground. They're averaging 5.84 yards per carry, only allowing 3.31. Not often you get this far into the season and you're averaging 2.5 more yards on the ground than you allow. I think that's going to be a big reason why Oregon has success in this game. They also have a fantastic 41-4 touchdown to interception ratio, which is why their quarterback is in the Heisman Trophy discussion. But with all the offensive stars that Oregon has, it's the defense which has really played well as of late. The last 5 games, Oregon has held the opposition to 72 total points. And keep in mind, those games are against teams out of the Pac-10. Pac-10, Pac-12, whatever it's called this year, won't be called anything next year. But this is a league that's known for their offense. So the Oregon defense has been really good as of late. And unlike Oregon, the Huskies don't fare nearly as well on the ground, but the passing game has been strong all season. They're undefeated, including beating all 3 ranked opponents they faced: Arizona, Oregon, Oregon State. But those 3 wins only came by a total of 12 points. So they got those victories in what I would consider coin tosses. If they lose those games, there's more of a reason why this line is where it is right now. The general public looks at this game and they go, how the hell is the team that's ranked higher being a 10-point, 9.5-point underdog here? That's the reason why we're going to find one of the biggest discrepancies all season long between the wise guys and the general public on this game. Money continues to come in on the Ducks. We agree, as Oregon is clearly the better team in our eyes, but the better number has already gone. Better number was earlier, and now you're hitting 10. And that is a concern. Rob talked about that when he gave his breakdown of the excellent quarterback that Washington has and the offense that they can put on the board. But still, I think Oregon is the right side here. As long as you're laying 10 or less, I'm confident this Oregon team is going to cover this game, and we'll take the favorite in this one.